Hi all, Lee here. So we're getting to the really exciting part of the build now. We're going to start finishing off. As you can see, it's now been sanded, shaped. I've put Danish oil on it. I've put several coats on there to give it a nice sheen. And there's a couple of other bits I've done off camera. So let's move the camera and we can take a closer look at what I've done already. It's looking nice and shiny now. I don't know if you can see inside. But I've done a few bits before I mount the pickup, so I've put some sponge in the pickup slots just to put some pressure and keep the vibrations low. I've also put in, I don't know if you can see that, but a couple of pieces of wood. So I was worried that the pickup screws may be too long and I haven't left enough wood when I routed out the holes. So what I've done is I've just put an extra couple of pieces of wood in there just so that the pickup screw has more to grab hold of when I screw it in. Obviously I've also fitted the bridge. That was easy, it's just 5 screws, so it's a Babicz bridge. I've already put the string on it and tightened it with the nut just so I can get an idea of string heights and pickup heights as well. Finally, I also, I don't know if I need it, but I fitted an earth for the bridge. Now, I don't know if the bridge needs an earth on this, but all I did is I just drilled a small hole underneath the bridge and I've put an earth wire through the cavity and into the electronics compartment. So there are all the things I've done already. What I want to do today is start to fit all the electronics. So if you remember, I've got the Bartolini wiring harness and I've got a bass and a treble Bartolini pickups to go in. So today's job is to put all those on. I've taken a look at the instructions and I believe I have to solder the pickups to the volume blend control. But let's take a look at the instructions and we'll just make sure that that's what I have to do and then we'll get the soldering iron out. I've got my instructions, they just came in the Bartolini box just so I can see how to wire this up. So this is what I need to wire, but I just need to make sure the blend knob has a top 3 and a bottom 3. So all I need to make sure, if you can see that, is I do the correct one to the right place. So I've had a look and the cables that go to the preamp are on the top, which means the neck pickup attaches to the top row of solder connections and the bridge pickup attaches to the bottom. So I don't know if you can see that, but this is the volume blend control. And as you can see, there's 2 yellow wires on the top row. They're going to the preamp, so the neck needs to be wired to the pin next to it and then the bridge underneath. But obviously first of all I need to transfer most of these electronics into the slots that I've already drilled. So let's get on and do that. First things first, I have to put the pickups in. So I've pushed the pickup cables through into the electronics cavity, but before I screw the pickups in, I just wanted to make some pilot holes. So I put the pickup in there and I just pushed a dot through the pickup hole for the screw, just so to make a mark on where I need to drill. Now I know I need about, I've got about 1 centimetre to play with. So what I've done is I've just put a piece of black tape 1 centimetre deep on my thin drill bit, and I'm just going to drill through to make sure I don't go all the way through the body of the guitar. So let's just make some holes. So that's the pilot holes put in there, so let's now screw the pickups in. Now we'll flip the guitar over and we'll put the electronics in. So I've put the electronics in now. They seem to fit okay. I've also just screwed them in at the front, so I don't know if you can see that. Obviously I've left the volume blend loose at the moment because I still need to attach the pickups, but now everything's in its place and everything fits, and I've got room for a battery, so now I can get on and try and solder these pickups onto the volume blend knob. So I've left that loose intentionally, but let's crack on and get that done now. So the pickups are now in, the electronics are in, all the switches are in. So now it's just for the final finishing and put some screws on. So all I have to do now is just put a couple of screws into the jack plug retainer. I need to glue the nut on, put the tuners on, and put the knobs on. So I've got everything here. I've got black knobs, my gold tuners, and I need to drill a few pilot holes for the tuners and also here. So let's crack on and do the jack plug first. So I've just got to drill some pilot holes in there. I always test in an old piece of wood first the pilot hole, because I quite like to make the pilot holes quite big, so just under the size required for the screw. Now I know you might say that that might leave it too loose, but what I've found is if it's too tight, occasionally I've accidentally rounded off the screw. So I'd much prefer to just shove a matchstick in the hole, because that's the fix. If your pilot hole or if your screw hole's too loose, just snap off a piece of matchstick, put it in there, and then the screw goes in tight. So I find it's easier to repair a broken hole than it is to try and get a new screw. So that's the reason I quite like to make oversized holes. So I've already tested it. I've just got to drill in and then we'll fit the screws. Next job is the tuners. Next job, let's glue the nut in. Next job, let's put the knobs on. Started putting the strings on, and I've come across a problem straight away. So the B string is too thick to fit through this nut. So I've had to take the nut off, and I've got my Dremel, and I've just widened the slot slightly. It was only just a bit too thin, so now the string should fit through it correctly, and I'll glue it back on and we'll carry on with the stringing up. As you can see, it's finally finished. Really pleased with the results, considering it's the second guitar I've ever built. I don't know what my next project's going to be, but I'm sure I'll let you know soon. So obviously I can't really play much on here, because the reason I built a bass is to learn to play bass. So all I can do is let you look at it, and I'll just play one little outro so you can hear it. But hopefully in a couple of weeks, once I've learnt a few tunes on the bass, I will record a video and you can have a listen to the different pickup settings and things like that. So thanks for watching, and catch me on the next video.